This is Rajan here. Is my voice audible to you all? Please raise your hand. Is my voice audible to you all? Please raise your hand. Okay, good. So all of you are right now muted because unmuting everybody will cause some problems. So whenever you want to speak, you may give a chat message and I'll unmute you. So we are going to study the introduction and architecture of Selenium IDE and what RC is and what exactly a WebDriver is. So how we are going to proceed with studying Selenium as an automation testing framework. So mainly this class will have a deep dive into Selenium IDE. We will learn most of the concepts in Selenium IDE today because that is the starting point of Selenium. Now, how many of you know about Selenium already? Can you raise your hand? Okay. Okay. I see few of the hands are rising. Good. I hope all of you have knowledge on automation. Please raise your hand. If yes, good. Good. Now, if you are aware of automation, the first question would be what exactly the Selenium is and why do I need to go to Selenium if there are so many tools already available in the market like Quick Test Professional, RFT and so many things which have a jazzy UI and lot of framework components involved. So why exactly I need to go for Selenium and what is Selenium? Okay, first we will try to understand what is Selenium. Selenium was developed in 2004 by Jason as a JavaScript based testing framework, which means using JavaScript this particular developer was able to automate the test cases which he was repeatedly doing. As we all aware of the concept that automation is putting a tool in place so that it does the job for us. We will only take care about what it needs and what do I get as a result. Clear, simple. That is what automation is. Placing a machine or a tool in place to do a repeated or repetitive task. That's what we call it in manual testing. So this tool which was done as a JavaScript based testing framework was further developed by so many developers. In fact, Google has funded this company. I'm sorry, I'm not mentioning the company right now. ThoughtWorks is the company which developed Selenium. Okay, and it was actually funded by Google. Okay, so year by year the Selenium has grew in its own testing framework and the components were created. As we are aware of that all the testing tools in market have components, Selenium also has some components. Okay, we will see it in a few moments, but right now So this JavaScript based testing framework was further developed into this tool what we see now. Why it was named Selenium? It was a good thing. It is a good story actually. At that market time, which means by 2004 or 2005, I'm not saying that like I'm not saying it in a past tense, because still QTP is the one which is used by most of the companies. Is my voice audible to you all? Please raise your hand. Okay, I see some of the hands rising. Be attentive while raising the hand, because that is how I get input from you. Based on that only I can modify my settings. So okay. Now, so QTP is the one which is best in the industry. Not take it as a defense thing, because we are just trying to understand why it was named as Selenium. So QTP was highly priced and it was poisoning the market. What the people who developed Selenium thought was it was poisoning the market. Okay, so they came up with this name called Selenium, because selenium is the one which removes poison from mercury. Okay, selenium is the chemical which is able to remove poison from mercury. That is why this tool was named as Selenium. Okay, so now Selenium components. Every tool has components that we all know. Selenium is fully open source, which means we don't have to purchase any license and we are free to modify the testing framework, and the coding can be done in our own way. Okay, that is the one of the most fascinating features in open source tool. Nobody controls you. You define yourself, whatever the best way or whatever the good way which you can find. Okay, now about the Selenium components. Selenium IDE, Selenium RC, and Selenium Grid. These are the three important components in Selenium. Of course, Selenium RC is now Selenium WebDriver. We will see it in a few moments. Right now, let us try to understand what these components are. Now, IDE, this is a plugin which can be installed in a Firefox browser. No other browser can support this plugin, but Firefox can only do it. Okay, it gets installed inside Firefox, and then you can create your scripts here. Okay, when we say script, it is nothing but a set of statements, programming statements, through which whatever the user has recorded will be replayed by the tool. Okay, script is a set of programming statements. And what program does it code for? It codes the statements with Selene's keywords. Okay, like all the programming languages, Selenium has its own programming keywords called Selenium. Okay, Selenium is the one which is used to code the Selenium IDE scripts. This is where you start. This is where you start developing your test scripts. Okay, now I have created my scripts. The very next thing which comes to my mind is that how am I going to execute it? Okay, development is one headache for an automation tester, and the very next thing is how exactly I'm going to execute it. Is it going to be a test suite? Is it going to be a single test case? Okay, so there are multiple things through which I can design a way to execute it. Now, while coming to this perspective, Selenium IDE is not capable of doing all those things. Okay, Selenium IDE is not capable of getting parameterized data, okay, executing multiple scripts in multiple browsers and generating reports. Okay, all these features Selenium IDE lacks, but it cannot be said that it is of no use, because it is the perfect thing to develop a script. Okay, now to do these things, whatever we have said now, okay, Selenium RC server is used. Okay, Selenium RC meaning remote control server, okay, through which we can write code in a series of programming languages. A moment before we were seeing about Selenium keywords. Selenium IDE only supports Selenium. But when we come to Selenium RC server, it has an array of language which it supports. Okay, so the automation tester can choose a programming language which he or she would like to code. Okay, now right now we are going to see a subtle difference with reference to the current Selenium version. Okay, I'll say Selenium RC server as Selenium 1.0 or Selenium 1. Okay, this is the version. Okay, right now the market is running with Selenium WebDriver, which also means Selenium 2.0. Okay, now you may ask, we have an RC server through which we can execute scripts and we can code in whatever language we like. Now what is the need for WebDriver? Now we cannot stop any updation or any evolving in programming languages. Likewise, Selenium has also evolved to WebDriver. Okay, it it answers some limitations found in RC server. Okay, it answers some limitation which are found in RC server. Okay, and it can run natively in a browser. We will see these differences in detail, okay, when we are working on these things, but right now we just get it as it can run natively in a browser. Okay, now I will add a few more points in Selenium RC server. Okay, we can do that in while we study Selenium architecture, which is the last part which we will see today. Right now this definition is enough. Now we have seen two components right now, IDE, RC, and the last one is grid. We are in a situation now. We have developed our scripts, we have a framework in place, we have multiple test cases or test suites to run. Okay, now I want to execute all these scripts with multiple systems. Okay, with multiple systems, meaning I'm not going to use only one system. I'm going to use a series of systems from my local area network. Okay, that is where grid comes into place. It allows us to execute our scripts using multiple systems. Okay, that is what Selenium grid is. Okay, like QTP has a QTP agent through which we can execute our scripts in other machines. Likewise, Selenium grids that plays that part. Now, overview of testing framework. I should mention how it differs from other automation tools. We know about Selenium now. Okay, as an introduction, we know what Selenium is and what are all the components and what exactly it does. Now, why do I need to go for Selenium? That is purely with respect to our project and market needs. Okay, now there are subtle differences between Selenium and other tools. For example, if we take QTP, first thing which comes to my mind is price. Okay, it is about a little over 8,500 US dollars. Okay, that too for a single year. Now, when I say Selenium, absolutely, or I'll say zero cost. Okay, that is one big thing from project management perspective. And the next thing is QTP supports uh, Internet Explorer, okay, and Firefox. That too, I think there is a version restriction. I think it starts from Firefox 3.6. Okay, but when it comes to Selenium, it supports a wide variety of browsers. Okay, I'll say Safari. And when it comes to OS, QTP supports Windows. Of course, there are variants of Windows OS like XP 7 and 8 and 2008 servers. But Selenium, I think it supports Windows and Mac. Wherever you can install Firefox, you can record and execute your scripts. Okay, that is what is with differences. And we are going to see one more thing called advantages and disadvantages with respect to Selenium. That is where comes right now. Okay, as I said, it is an open source. We don't have to pay. It supports all browsers and supports all operating systems, supports all programming languages, Java, Ruby, C Sharp and Python. Okay, can you imagine what kind of impact it will make in our automation development? Okay, anybody who knows any kind of programming language can develop a testing framework and work on it. Okay, that is a great breakthrough in terms of automation testing. Okay, because as we are getting into testing, I mean automation testing, I will not say it is a testing activity. It is of course a development activity, because we work as developers, we think how developers think. Okay, and we follow the same methodologies involved in development, so it plays a great impact when it comes to programming languages. So we can choose our programming language from a variety of an array of programming languages. Now the last one, run multiple tests at a time. Okay, we can execute multiple tests at the same time. We will see these things when we are into creating testing frameworks. Okay, that is the pinnacle of Selenium testing, Selenium automation framework. Okay, when we develop and deploy and execute all our tests using a framework. That is where the pure knowledge comes from. Now, disadvantages. What are the disadvantages in Selenium? Like all the other tools, Selenium also has some disadvantages. Identifying the locators that support common attributes like ID, name, etc., XPath. Okay, so there is a problem when we try to identify all the objects which is displayed in my screen. Okay, so we will be using XPath and document object model objects to identify these things, because when it comes to automation there is only one thing which we need to take care of. Okay, all the objects which we are going to identify, which we are trying to identify, must be identified correctly by Selenium in runtime. If it does not passes the identification part, what happens? The script fails. Object identification is a very important thing in automation testing framework. Now I'll add a few more points in QTP's advantage also, because it has a very good thing called object repository, and it is the most artificial intelligence software I have ever noticed, because it stores all the objects in one place, and you have a variety of identification IDs to choose from. But in Selenium we work in ground level, which means we get into Firebug, which is also a plugin from Firefox. We need to install it and we need to find our locators ourselves. Okay, so it is a drawback which is obvious in all the open source testing tools. Okay, now detailed results are not available. What they mean by detailed results is that you have created your scripts, developed the framework, and you have executed it. Now the next step would be presenting it to our project manager or management. What happens then? They cannot expect a report which is like a raw result. They should expect a report which is fully formal and uh, full of numbers, like custom made reports through which you can tell the management, like, this is what my test coverage is, these are the test cases which are executed, how many of them failed and how many of them passed. So you have to put some more graphs also. So like these kind of graphs, okay, and numbers cannot be got from Selenium by default, which means we have to work on it more to get these things from Selenium. But all the proprietary tools which we call as RFT or QTP or Silk Test does it, like we are paying them and they are having a unified tool which is able to do all these things. Now Selenium IDE does not support loop and data-driven testing. Now, this is what we have just discussed about the disadvantages of Selenium IDE. Selenium IDE severely lacks these things, which is the very foundation of automation testing framework. I mean, without looping or without data-driven testing, I cannot have a automation testing framework in place. Now, do you all agree with me or not? Can an automation testing framework live without data-driven testing? Can you raise your hand or chat your result? Can an automation testing framework be developed without data-driven testing? Do you agree or not? Okay, I'm getting not much responses. I need everybody to be attentive. As this is an online training, your responses through chat window or question window or raising your hand will minimize the task of communication problems. Now, okay. Okay. Now, we all agree to the point that no automation testing framework can exist without loop and data-driven testing. Any testing we follow, we must develop ourselves in Selenium. Okay, that is one drawback, but it minimizes in the point of cost management. Now the last thing is no option to verify images, which means image verification is not possible in Selenium. Okay, Selenium IDE. Now we have gone through the introduction part of Selenium, the advantages and disadvantages. Okay, now please let me know if you have any questions. You can type your questions in questions window. Okay, I take it as there are no questions. Now we are getting into Selenium IDE, starting from downloading and installation of that tool, and then we will try to record and play back some scripts. Now to install Selenium IDE, what is the primary requirement which you should have? Can anybody answer my question? Sorry. Yes, I'm getting a question from Mr. Rajshekhar Siddhappa. Yes, Rajshekhar, we can customize the test results. I'll outline those concepts in overview of test framework. Okay. I mean, we are by the end of this class, we will be able to deploy a framework which will be able to customize all the results and report it in a format of HTML. Okay, that we will do, because without customization of test results, the execution will not be worthy. It is by results we show how much the execution is successful. Okay, now as we have gone through this Selenium introduction, can anybody answer what is the prerequisite to install Selenium IDE? That's right, Firefox. Correct. Now let me open my Firefox window. I'm going to open my Firefox. I'm having the Firefox version. I mean, it keeps on updating automatically. Right now I think I have 28. Okay, so I'm having version 28.0. Firefox keeps on updating automatically, so we do not want to care about that, but you need to make sure that you have current version of Firefox installed in your system, because what I'm going to do now will be with respect to current version of Firefox. Now we need to install Selenium IDE, the very next thing. For that I'm going to the website seleniumhq.org. I'm navigating to a website seleniumhq.org to install the Selenium IDE. Okay, I'm in that website right now.